Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Good News Gang, Christmas edition. We're here once more to share our favorite Christmas hymns or songs with you and have a little discussion about the history and the background of that particular favorite of ours. And this week we saved the best for last, Pastor Jackie Ranieri. But before we get started, in case you're new and joining us for the first time, we should probably introduce ourselves. My name is Pastor Matt, and I serve at Marble Memorial United Methodist Church in Milan, Michigan. And I am joined once again by Pastor Matt Osborne from Ishpeming Wesley UMC, all the way in the UP. Pastor Kim Metzer from Hope UMC in Hastings. Pastor Curtis Clark from Marysville UMC, and of course, Pastor Jackie Ranieri, all the way from Clare UMC. How are we doing this evening, my friends?
Yeah, it is well.
Good.
How about you?
I am well. You know, it is a busy week for us clergy, but at the same time,
Why?
Well, we got Sunday to get ready for, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I have to say, Curtis, I just saw your sweater because you guys know I'm struggling with how I can see on my phone here.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Thanks. Go Jesus. It's your birthday. Go Jesus. It's your birthday.
Oh, you got a Jesus
Oh, that's fantastic, Matt West.
Gotta get in cabbage patch in a little bit.
Mine says happy birthday.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Hence why he's wearing a birthday hat.
Oh, you guys are pretty snazzy there.
Well, you know, it's the closest thing I got to an ugly sweater, so to go along with my ugly face. So here we go.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, God.
Well, although we are busy, we still made time to come back and share with you one more time one of our favorite Christmas hymns. And as I had stated earlier, tonight it is Pastor Jackie's turn, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to her.
Well, thank you. Yes, I get to go last because every Christmas Eve service ends with our favorite hymn, Silent Night, right?
Right.
Right? We all end with Silent Night. And I thought, well, I'll go last because that's one of my favorite hymns. I love this song just for a lot of reasons, and I'll share that in just a few minutes. But I really didn't know the history of this song. And so I was looking it up, and the author and he's from Australia. It's Joseph Mohr. It's Mohr. So I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, forgive me. He was, growing up, he was real active in the choir in the Catholic Church. And actually, as he grew older, he became an ordained priest in the Roman Catholic Church. So he loved singing, and he worked with Franz Gruber, who was the village schoolmaster, but also the church organist. And they weren't happy with the Christmas songs, Christmas hymns, Christmas time that they sang. They didn't appreciate any of the songs that they had to sing. So they thought, we got to come up with the perfect song. We have to do something. We got to create something. So actually, Father Mohr decided to write his own version of his own song, a favorite Christmas hymn that he can think of. And he just thought of the words and praying and just meditating. He came up with the words to Silent Night. So he wrote the words, and he wanted to hurry up and get them finished before Christmas Eve because he didn't want to disappoint his congregation, just like all good pastors don't like to disappoint their congregation, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Am I right? I'm right, right? So he finished it just in time for Christmas Eve. Well, he had a little bit of time left over because he handed it over to Franz, and Franz read the words and he prayed on them, and he started tinkering around, and it turned out just at that moment the church organ broke. It was like it wouldn't work anymore. So he's panicking. So he found another instrument and he started plucking out some songs, some tunes, I guess, and he came out with the tune to Silent Night. So they finished it in time for Christmas Eve, and the hymn came out, and it was Father Mohr and Franz. They sang the hymn, and Franz played the guitar. The congregation was moved. It was great. And they never intended, though, for this song to go any further than their village. They thought the song would just be their own personal song. So I saw a little bit of, I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but Carl Marakshin, I think his name is, he was a well-known organ builder. So he came in a few days after Christmas. So one story says that the father gave this guy the music, but another story says that the music was left out and he picked it up and kind of helped himself to it and shared it with several people. And that's how it started spreading around past the village throughout Australia. And actually it became a popular folk song at the time. So from all over. And it was first heard in the United States in 1839 when a family of Tyrolean singers, and they had to laugh because they were called the Rainiers. And they used the music during one of the concerts in the United States. So soon people were wondering about these words. They loved the tune, they loved the way it went. And so then the song was then translated to English along with several other languages. So there's several languages the song is written in, which I thought was kind of cool. So that's how it came to the United States. And then it became a Christmas hymn that was turned over to the churches. I mean, you heard nothing more about was that whether Franz and Father Moore were disgruntled or not. Whoops. Whether they were disgruntled as far as, I don't know if you lost me or not there for a second, but so it was just, but that's just the story that finally in the United States it came and they put it into English and that. So I thought that was a kind of a neat little background of how it was, but I thought it was real interesting that they never wanted that song to leave their village, that it was written for the village. And just think of it, you know, the verses of it that it goes in that. So, but my favorite story about this is about World War I, and I know you all have heard about this, about the truce on Christmas Day and the fight. And actually I found an article by Christopher Klein, and he was talking about Charles Brewer was one of the soldiers, and he was far from home, and it's Christmas Eve, and he was just so disheartened that he was so far away. And here he is in the trenches. There, he says it was raining, it was horrible, it was just a miserable place where they were all at. All the soldiers are wet, there's bodies laying all over the place, and he just said it just was not a beautiful sight, we'll just say that. And all of a sudden it was he started raising his head, Brewer, out of the trench that he was in, and he saw that there was a sparkling coming of light, and he started looking a little bit closer as he started getting out a little bit more out of this trench, and he saw it was a decorated Christmas tree with a tree with all these lights on it. And it turned out that the Germans had decorated a tree, and all of a sudden they started to sing. And I don't know the German term for it. Maybe one of you all know that. Do any of you know it? It's still.
Is it Tannenbaum?
No, it's
No.
still STILLENACHT.
Still not.
Still not.
That's
Yep.
what I was not that. Well, maybe that's what it was. So the Germans were singing it like that, but the tune was in Silent Night. So when the German soldiers finished the song, their enemies started breaking out in cheers because they recognized the tune to what they were singing. And they were used to returning fire because they were in the middle of a war. The British now replied, singing back to them Silent Night in the English version. And they said that says when the dawn broke on Christmas morning, something even more remarkable happened. It says they ceased fire and it became the Christmas truce. And instead of a small fires going back and forth, they actually got out of their foxholes and decided to fraternize with the enemy. So it says, Brewer says, we shook hands, we wished each other a Merry Christmas, and we're soon conversing as if we've known each other for years. I thought that's what a cool concept. I mean, they are fighting at each other. And it says, British Corporal John Ferguson wrote of the encounter between his Seaforth Highlanders and German forces. He says, here we were laughing and chatting to men whom only a few hours before we were trying to kill. It says the soldiers exchanged makeshift gifts such as cigarettes, chocolates, sausages, liquor, and plum puddings, and likely swapped stories about the miseries of the war. And it says German soldiers, I have to share this, even rolled barrels of beer they had seized from a nearby brewery across no man's land to the British trenches, where, according to the British soldier Frank Richards, they raised toasts to one another's health and united in agreement that French beer was rotten stuff.
That's fantastic.
So then it says they broke out and they played soccer, and you know, they had to watch out for the barbed wire, and you know, of course, the bodies, they had to move the bodies out of the way so they could get a field opened up, and they used tin cans and small sandbags that for kicking the ball, since they didn't have a ball there on the field there, or I should say wherever they were at. And it just but then as soon as Christmas Day ended, that night they went back to their trenches, and the next day the shot went off and the war started again. But just that one day, they shook hands, they hugged each other, gave each other gifts, and shared stories and wished each other well, and even prayed with each other that all will be well for them during this war. So it was just, I thought that was just remarkable. You know, I mean, how true is that for us? And I just think this song just means so much to everybody. Everybody's has a why they like the song. It has a different meaning to everybody. And it just, personally, as a little girl, to me, you know, realistically, it meant as soon as we sang that song, I got to go home because Santa was coming soon. I mean, that was just the reality of it. And then I remember getting a little bit older and then being allowed to like hold the real candle in my hand.
Yep.
And that was like the big deal. But I had to promise to sing the song. I couldn't just stand there holding the candle. I had to sing too. And I just remember as growing up and hearing that song and hearing those words, just how meaningful it came. And as an adult, you know, just thinking of that silent night and you know, thinking of Mary and Joseph as I have in my background, I think we would all agree it wasn't a silent night. You know, it wasn't
baby crying.
baby crying, animals, you know, the smell, it was just probably like, what a crazy time. But my hope is that at some point it became a silent night, it became a holy night for them, and that they felt the comfort and peace of what just happened. You know, I mean, think of parenting after giving birth to our children, and you know, you do get that moment where you just look at the baby and you just look at each other like, wow, look what we created. And I just, you know, I just hope through that song and the words and just hearing that Mary and Joseph got that time to really understand what a holy night it was. And that's what I just feel, you know, just wanted to share that with it. But yes, I think his song means a lot to everyone. Has their own feelings about this song and what it means.
Well, thank you, Pastor Jackie. And
You're welcome.
I would imagine we're all in agreement that this song holds a special place in all of our hearts. I know that, you know, this is right up there with O Holy Night. And, you know, I am accustomed to opening and closing service, you know, on Christmas Eve with those two songs. And it's certainly special to me. But what about the rest of you? Any thoughts on Pastor Jackie's song, hymn?
No, I think I think we all have those memories of from either a childhood or even, you know, maybe even before we really knew who Christ was and what the whole Christmas was about, up to now as, you know, worship leaders and pastors. And it's a much different experience for us now too. You know, we were saying off camera a little bit that we kind of miss out a little bit on that worship experience on Christmas Eve of singing this song, but yet the view from our vantage point also is tremendous when we get to look out into a church that's, you know, it's usually the fullest on Christmas Eve, and to see, you know, those lights go dim and then the candles kind of make their way, you know, from front to back or however you got, you know, we do it in our sanctuary. It's kind of special, and then just to see just the sanctuary lit up with nothing but candlelight is pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Pastor Matt, I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this thought, but of course, when she mentioned, you know, Franz Gruber being a part of this song, I'm wondering if there's any relation to Hans Gruber, the infamous villain from Die Hard, another classic Christmas movie.
Right. connects the points.
Right.
Just to go
it's a
full
relative of some
circle.
sort, right?
I may be
yeah.
on my own, but I thought maybe you
I
would
was
thinking
share
it.
that
I was
thought
thinking
with
it.
me.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch it, all of our eyes go, and then we just finish letting Pastor Jackie keep talking.
Thanks.
Well, Pastor Curtis, because all of us could probably share some stories because it's such a tradition, and it almost supersedes. I'm not saying every United Methodist Church or whatever, but I think it sort of supersedes any worship expression we have. Contemporary, traditional, whatever. It seems like such a place for that. And one of the things that I really enjoy seeing and hearing is there's sort of like a rite of passage too in the church that you can see that they're, because families are together, family units are usually together in these pews, and you can just see like it's a rite of passage when the child gets to hold the candle, and you just see this awe from the grandparents, like trying to hold it steady and the picture. And it's just this moment where, people remember, when their kids can finally do that. And I think you can see the kids kind of light up too, like, really, I get to do it this time. And everybody just kind of puts off, complete patience. It doesn't matter. Nobody's laughing and giggling. There's just such a reverence for the song that comes around with it. And I'll tell you, that's probably why sometimes it might be hard for me to listen to it, like if it's coming through a playlist in the car, because there's such high reverence for that song in my life that it's kind of weird hearing it sometimes outside of church.
Yeah, out of context.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But just to think of it as a folk song, I mean, so could you imagine just, going someplace and having them singing it, but you wonder like how the tune went, if it was faster, was it, kind of just
Right.
Oh, right. Yep.
to take that, because we're all used to that slow and, steady and that kind of,
Like a waltz or a lullaby or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, it was kind of, I'm sorry, I'll say it a little humorous to me that they wanted to keep it to themselves and their own congregation at first,
That doesn't ever happen today, ever.
That's what I thought was a little tongue in cheek, that's why I kept stressing that point. It was only for their church, their village.
But
Right.
you have to give them credit in the fact that they didn't fight it, that
Right.
that people were able to enjoy it as much as they were. I mean, and I think a lot of times there are, songs or ideas that people come up with thinking like, okay, this is just going to be something that is for those around us. And then when it takes off, not realizing like how impactful it is that something that you thought was going to be so small became so big.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, I think you have to think back to the time of when it was written as well. That's how it was. When you would write songs for your local community, and there was, I mean, similar to Paul writing letters, it was for a specific church, and it took a while for that letter, and it took a while for the song to get from town to town to town. And so it's not like it is now where you can just hit send and it goes out to a million people. But I love the idea too of being in worship on that night and receiving that light and then passing that light on to. There's something really meaningful and spiritual and theological about that we receive it, but we don't just keep it for ourselves, and we share it with the person next to us, even if it's not someone in our family. Share that light with the person next to us.
And I know Pastor Jackie's, shared that typically we don't get to maybe necessarily, we were talking before, enjoy that moment. But honestly, I think out of all the Christmas Eve services that I've done, even prior to being a pastor, that was probably the one moment that I felt like I actually got to embrace, because it was the end. And so to just hear the song as people are, as everybody's singing it, to see all the candles lit, and typically, the lights are dimmed, at least where I've been, and just to have the candle light up the room, it is that one moment where I think like, you can forget everything else because this is it. This is the end. And it's, what essentially, is the cherry on top at the end of Christmas Eve, worship. And so for me, I know that's where I feel like I actually do get to enjoy that moment because I don't have to think about anything else.
Right.
And
Yeah, I think, you're right. For us too, it's kind of the end of a busy week. It's usually maybe the last sermon we're preaching of the year, because a lot of us take the following Sunday off. And so, yeah, it is. It's like this culmination, this end of, whew,
That's the way I feel, because usually my family's scattered apart. I'm not standing next to my family singing Silent Night. I'm usually standing next to a music director or somebody, like that. But it's just, it's like I lift up a silent prayer, just like, oh, thank you, Lord, for getting us through this. And here it is, the end, and you're just getting us, I feel it's a blessing. I think when we get to that point, I take it as a blessing. And it's just, and that's where, I love it, because it's like you said, Matt, it's like, we got here. We got to this point. We're singing the song. If anything else, if it all went wrong, you know what? It doesn't matter, because as long as everybody gets to light the candle and they get to sing the song, I think all is well. I mean, and I honestly do.
It's like the moment you get to actually exhale.
Yes.
It's once you started, that first person in lighting their candle, and then you kind of work your way to the back, and you can sit there and hear the song and see the candles, and you can just go,
yeah. We did it.
And I think this year it's going to be even more so that way, no matter how we're celebrating this year. And it's going to look different in all of our churches. We're going to be around a campfire. So we'll be lighting the first candle from the campfire. That'll be, I don't know, it's just going to be different. But I hope that it's just as poignant and touching as it has been in past years.
So. And yes, I think it needs to look different. It's going to look different this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess before we wrap things up, because I know Pastor Jackie has something special in store for us, did you take a chance to find a fun song to offer as we've each done?
Well, you all have shared like my favorite song, Hippopotamus, and even the Porky Pig, or I forgot what the pig's name.
Seymour Swine.
More swine.
Yes.
And
Porky Pig's copyrighted. Yeah.
My favorite thing to do, because this is the other tradition we do with our family, is we sing Silent Night, and then we go home and we get in our pajamas, and then someone reads twas the night before Christmas. And it's always meant so much, from, having my grandfather read it, to my father read it, to my son reading it back to us. And when I was growing up, there was a very special friend of the family, and he had a connection to Santa Claus.
Oh.
So I had to memorize "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And I memorized it, and I had to say it to Santa Claus. And Santa came to the house, and I had to repeat it all to him, and Santa just loved it. He laughed so hard, thought it was such a jolly thing. And I got a special little framed of the poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." So that's part of the Christmas Eve tradition in our household, of saying the story. So it isn't a song. I guess it's a poem or a story, or it's even, I know they have it as a cartoon version now, but it's the book, and we get to pass it off on who gets to read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to the family. So
nice.
I thought maybe you were going to come back with we go home and sing a gleeful rendition of "Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer" or something.
The kids like to sing that to my mom, and she loves that so much. They sing it every year. No, that one was not a favorite. I didn't like that one. The cartoon version, I did not.
We're all so proud of Grandpa.
And that. But what I do want to close with, we talk about, Christmas Eve and that time, and, Christmas is only a few days away. And I just love you all as my friends and fellow peers, and that I just wanted to share one verse of Silent Night. And we come together, and I asked you all to bring a candle. And I had a friend, Tim Caldwell. He's from Justified Quartet. So I'm going to give a shout out. If you're looking for great entertainment, once our church is open and we are ready to go, please call Justified Quartet. They're awesome. Curtis had them at his church.
Yes, we did.
And that, so I'm sure you can give a good.
Yep. I can give them a shout out too. They did great. They were awesome. People loved them.
Yes, they love them dearly. So if you're looking for something fun, a fun group, Justified Quartet. So thank you, Tim, for being so kind and loving to share your voice with us here tonight. So Let me get them going there. Get my candle ready.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace.
So my friends, that's what I wanted to give to you and wish you all a Merry Christmas and enjoy your version, your time together as we sing Silent Night with our churches and your family. So
Amen.
I love you
too.
all and God bless you all. Yes.
Oh, thank
Love
you.
you too.
Thank you for that special moment, Pastor Jackie, and thank you to my brothers and sisters for gathering once again so that we could share one of our favorite songs with all of you. And we hope that you've enjoyed the Good News Gang Christmas edition as we have spent the last few weeks just enjoying each other's company and talking about some of our favorite Christmas time songs. And so we just hope that you'll come back and join us when we get around again after the holidays and offer something new for you to enjoy. But we hope you've enjoyed this time together through the Advent season. Until we meet again, peace be with you.
And also with you.
Holy night, silent